So you mentioned you're not necessarily doing high intensity training, but you do push yourself and you're in the gym for quite a bit. So talk about how you implement training to failure and if that's something you do regularly.
Yes, what I do is I do this positive failure or form failure. When I cannot keep going with the exact same form, when it really starts to be something else than what I want to work, I stop. So this is for every compound, every isolation exercise. When I start to reach failure, I go closer and closer. I could try to cheat, but I'm not going to do it. So the last two reps will be grind and much slower. And then there is that rep when you know that if you want to get it up, you'll have to either swing or like do kind of this, you know. So for me, it's like basically form failure. And I stop there. That rep that could be extra ugly, I will not do it. That is something that is relatively safe to do, I believe. And it gives you a good checkpoint to just train when you're not sure. When you start to do some like fufu movement with your body just to get the weight up, you know it's time to stop.
What's the set volume per exercise that you find yourself doing? And with that type of failure that you're mentioning, is that on every set or is it on the last set? How do you like to do it?
It's on every set and it depends on the muscle. Currently, I'm pushing for the 18 inches arm. So I'm slightly using higher volume for arms. Not that higher volume is required to push really hard, but just that because I am at a point right now where I am strong enough to actually hurt my elbow and my wrist if I go too heavy with my arms training. I would rather use slightly lighter weight and a little more of volume just to avoid any kind of injury or overuse issue since I already have little here and there. But yeah, that's about it. So for my arms, if we just count the isolation, I must be at around 18, 20 sets per week. For the trunk muscle, like chest, traps, lats, it's basically half or 70% of that. And for legs, it's, if we cut quads, adductor, hamstring, it's basically the same volume, but just spread out over all the lower body muscle. That's basically it.
And the arms specifically, because of course you do the upper, lower, full body. When you're talking about per week, are you talking about technically per cycle, not necessarily per week? Because obviously...
No, per week. No, per week. Per cycle,
Okay.
I would be at 30 something.
Okay. So basically, let's say you have a lower body day on Monday, example. You have an upper body day on Wednesday, lower body day on Friday, then upper body day on
Sunday.
Okay. So you don't wait till Monday. So that's how it ends up being per week. But eventually, because with this type of system, wouldn't you have a week where you have the upper body only once in the week?
Every muscle at worst is worked every 5 days. At worst, when I'm really tired or I have no time or something came up and I can't go to the gym. At worst, every muscle is worked every 5 days. So no, I'm good. And even sometime when I take a bit more rest, it doesn't impact me that much actually. Like I do not feel like I'm losing strength or mass. Just that when I come back, it's like I'm totally refreshed, so I can push even harder. So
right.
I might actually just try a really even lower frequency, like just 3 times per week, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't impact me.
I find this interesting. Like, I think a lot of bodybuilders or people that are very much into wanting to improve their physiques, and I don't know if it's because of tradition, but they get very attached to having to do this specific type of frequency that we think the research has proven for everybody. And it's not for everybody. That's the thing, right? And proven in kind of what way, right? Because some people's interpretation of research is skewed, right? Like how you interpret specific research. Are you asking all the right questions? I've spoken about this with many people who are doing research as well. And these are good things to bring up because I feel like we are attached to a 7-day cycle, hitting everything. It has to be twice per week. Or on the reverse end, people are like, they dismiss that. Oh, I just do, for example, a bro split. But we know that a bro split also, there's so much overlap that these guys are hitting things like multiple times per week, not even twice. So for example, if you do a chest day and a shoulder day and an arm day, you just hit arms 3 times in a week, and the back day too, technically, like you're hitting certain aspects of your arms as well. So I played around with less frequency and I haven't noticed much of a difference personally, but I'd be curious if you do bring it down more, how your experience would be. Because right now you're playing with at worst every 5 days, but I would be curious if it's even less than that, what your experience would be if you wanted to prioritize recovery even more.
I think that if frequency can go even lower, I'd be able to raise both volume and intensity. I would be able to potentially add a lot more volume, like maybe 1 or 2 exercises per muscle, and to change in a kind of split that is basically, I won't say like a bro split, but I'd say an optimized split. I do chest, shoulder, triceps, and then I do back, but it's more like lats. But I actually also eat like the whole posterior chain and also some biceps. And then I have like a quad day, but it's more, but there is also some hamstring and calves as well. I rework a bit the posterior chain. And then there is like some kind of upper body day, which is more like arm centric. But of course, I'm going to still work the traps, the lats, the chest, and etc. And it's like a 5-day split. So everything would be just eat, technically speaking, directly once a week, but it would actually be once every 5 days or even lower. But then I would be able to really trust myself. I have some friends that are currently doing this type of trainings that are natural, that they just want to test it out. And I did like a quad workout with them. We had like 30 sets, I think, 30 sets of quads, 10 sets more for the adductor and the calves. And I was smoked afterward. But like one of the best pump I have ever been, like my legs were totally massive, you know. But it's one training like that per week max. And sometimes they even wait a bit more, like 9 days. I mean, it's just like when you have like a control panel, right? If you rise something up, and you have to be careful with the other one, right? And if there is something that goes down, you can push 2 others really hard. So yeah, there is no one recipe. There is just like an assemblage of parameters that we know work, and that if you do this type of frequency, it's good to do this type of volume, this type of intensity, and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah, that's I've spoken to a lot of top level professional natural bodybuilders, and majority of the top, they're doing a lower frequency. I can think of 10 right now off the top of my head. Everything is hit pretty much once per week, and some of them are only training 3 times per week. Imagine this. So you're training 3 days per week, and you just do push pull legs, super high intensity, the right exercises, progressive overload, good execution, and these guys are champion bodybuilders. You know, there's no set way that this has to be done that people think. Like they think that, oh, everything has to be hit twice per week, or everything has to be hit 3 times per week or whatnot. I think a lot of it boils down to preference and what's going to allow you to really push yourself and enjoy your training. I think that's probably the 3 biggest factors. What do you think about that?
I think you nailed it totally. I also think that it depends on the strength level, and most of these top athletes are freaking strong. It's not that they're having the biggest, highest victory. They're not powerlifter, but I'm pretty sure they can rep out 2 plates on the overhead press variation, whatever variation, for easy. So that means that if they push hard, it's like 2 plates and a half. And when you're doing 2 plates and a half on your shoulder press, you do 2-3 sets and then you're done. You do some isolation and that's it. And your shoulder workout is done. And if you can do like some kind of hack squat with like 5 plates per side for high reps, it's the same thing. You do just 2 sets of hack squat, your quads are already smoked. So you just finish off with leg extension and that's it. So you can just go with 2 exercises and that will be more than enough. I remember, not really an HIT guy, but kinda, it was Aaron Baker, professional bodybuilder in the 90s. Huge guy, humongous. His chest workout was 4 plate Smith incline and like 100 pounds flat dumbbell fly. And sometime he would finish himself off with bodyweight dips. And that was it.
That was it. Yeah.
That was it. 45 minutes, done. Bye-bye.
Yeah, but you brought up a great point. If you're just starting out, the extra frequency can help you with practice and executing things better because you're practicing more. What's that saying? Perfect practice makes perfect, not practice makes perfect. So making sure that when you're practicing, you're doing it in a way that makes sense. But the point is that the extra frequency can help in that stage. But you're right. I think as you get more experience, and when I say experience, I don't mean time, because you could train for 20 years and do it haphazardly. You just do it in a way that makes not very much sense. Let's just put it that way. But the quality is there. So you're talking about these guys that are doing what you're saying, 4-plate bench, 5-plate squat or whatnot. And these are just example exercises. I'm not suggesting that everybody needs to bench and squat. It's an example. The extra recovery of hitting things, say once per week or once every 6 days, or at the very least once every 5 days, then that is where it becomes more valuable, I think, and more important, right?
Yeah, totally. Because you make every set count, every reps count. So then everything is of a higher quality.
Let's talk about where you're currently at. So you did the golden era split, the Arnold split, chest, back, shoulders, arms, legs, repeat, 6 days a week. You've done full body 3 days a week. So where are you currently right now with your training? Let's dive into the split, and then we'll dive into the volume, the frequency, the intensity.
All right. So